has my Cleft Uviala affected me, or how did it affect me, is the question. I didn't really even know too much about the uvula until I recently just looked it up and what it exactly does. I remember having the surgery as a kid to correct it, and here is the back of my mouth at my uvula. Very pretty. But I just looked it up, and it causes, it prevents food from going up into the nasal cavity. That way it doesn't come out our cleftness of our nose and stuff like that. It also creates saliva, and it can cause sleeping problems, and I forget what the other part of all that was, of the things that it does. But for the food coming out of the nose, I was too young when I had it done to realize of the process that it did. I think that's all of a growing thing, of having it done, and age deal, and with a cleft palate and a lip, and having a hole in the roof of my mouth that went in that direction to all that stuff, that all didn't help. Though I had a flipper and a retainer at one point, though the retainer did cover up that hole. I can't remember if I had that while I didn't have that while I had my expander, but I did have it later, though that was corrected by then. But I did have the issue with stuff coming out of my nose as a kid, with the hole in the top of the mouth, as someone has, their son also has a soft palate, cleft soft palate as well, so you do get that happening. As for the sleeping issues, I'll talk about sleep paralysis. I've actually used to think that I was possessed until later found out when I started having sleep paralysis. If you don't know what that is, I'll explain it in another video, but you should check that out for your kids and explain that to them when they get older. That way, if they talk to you about being having very bad nightmares, that's what it is. And hopefully maybe we can all find out by sharing that information if we all have sleep paralysis by having a cleft palate or a cleft uvula that is obstructing the backs of our throats, causing us to have this sleep paralysis. I'll make a video about that, because that's all very interesting. And then saliva. I actually do have overactive saliva, and have found myself spitting a lot or having too much saliva as a kid, and I always found myself kind of spitting throughout my entire life, though everyone can be different, but I believe perhaps messing with the back of our uvulas and stuff could probably affect it to not create as much saliva or create too much, and I think I just have the too much problem. And I'll also make a video about this. I can actually hide my tongue, and so like this, back into the top of my throat, or the very back end of my nasal cavity, which I don't know if it goes exactly like that, but again, here's that. And there's the uvula back there. That's super fun to share. And so, yeah, I have overactive saliva. I have had sleeping problems since I was about 13. I don't know if that has anything to do with my uvula or overactive saliva. And I did have food issues when I was younger, but I also had the cleft palate and cleft uvula, which were both factors in causing, food to go up and out of my nose, which was not fun. Okay, it was super fun. Just kidding. No, and yeah, that's not fun tasting as well, as we have all probably have had that happen without having a cleft uvula or a cleft palate before. So there's the answering of that. Has my cleft uvula affected me? Yes, it has in my eyes, but I don't know if that is a direct correlation to any of those, but I do have those 3 things that I just read up online, and that those are things that scientists and doctors have found out about the uvula. It also holds a bacteria that can keep us sick, and so we're also the only mammals that have a uvula, but there's also different kinds of uvulas located other places, but this one's the palate uvula. Anyways, there's that. Alright, thanks for watching, and I hope I answered your question.